name is Siddarth Selvaraj. I was born and brought up here in Bangalore. I went to school in Clarence School in Frasertown. When we were in high school, a group of us got together and we started up this community theatre production house. So what we did was we wrote, produced, directed our own plays. We put them up in various locations across the city. And we tried to raise funds based on the theme of our play. So our play on drug abuse, we send our money to a drug rehab center. So we did this for about 3 years. It got fairly popular as a small theatre group. We got about 40 people involved from across the city. And then it got time to us going to college. So I ended up studying communications and film in the States. Joe studied animation in Canada. Avinash stayed behind here and studied business. And we got back together after our degrees, after our college education, to set up what I do now, which is Studio 33. Studio 33 is a media production house. We do film photography and design work for corporates, non-profits, educational institutions. The reason why I went to America, there were several reasons. I think one of the main thing was I really wanted to study communication. I really wanted to study film. And especially back when I was looking for colleges in the early 2000s, colleges here in India didn't necessarily have the infrastructure and the experience that I was really looking for to teach communication and media production in an effective way. And so I scouted around colleges in the States and I found this small liberal arts school in Minnesota called Gustavus Adolphus College. It's about 2,500 people. It's a very tight community, and the education I got there was priceless. There were several things different from that education there than I would have got here. My communication skills have increased significantly, my writing skills have increased significantly, my confidence in general in the way I form ideas, my critical thinking skills have increased substantially, and that I don't think would have happened here. I think our education, for what it's worth, is more geared towards memorization and doing well in exams, whereas the United States, especially a liberal arts college, concentrates on a more sort of wholesome education, right? So you get a lot of different components sort of coming together, and it's and there's a lot more emphasis on the way you think and the way you formulate your ideas, rather than the way you do an exam that's based on memorization. So that was very, very helpful for me. After Gustavus, where I did a double major in communication studies and political science, I went to grad school in film production at Boston University. That was a different experience altogether. Boston University is a school of, I think, 32,000 people, and it's in Boston, so it's a big, bustling city. And that was perfect for me, because I think going to a smaller college, especially when you're younger, which is sort of a more protective environment, was helpful at that stage in my life. And then when I wanted some more independence, going to a larger university and getting that grad school experience. Well, I think the best thing about a liberal arts education is that you get to go deeper into the aspects of studying you want to. So communication was always sort of this big interest of mine, and I knew my career was going to be in there. But I also have this a love for American politics that I got to also explore with a double major, right? But even with this double major, because I was in a liberal arts school, I got an opportunity to take science classes and math classes and English classes and a bunch of other things that gave me sort of a more rounded education as a whole, and I think that was really helpful. But even beyond that, Gustavus, the college I went to, was great about extracurricular activities, right? So I was able to do a lot of stuff outside of the class that made what I was learning even more meaningful. So we have this thing called J-term at Gustavus, which is the January between your fall and your spring semester, and you get an opportunity to do a wide variety of different things. So my sophomore year at Gustavus, I went to Mississippi a few months after Hurricane Katrina to do a documentary on relief work there. The J-term after that, we traveled all across the country and we did a documentary on immigration. And my final J-term at Gustavus, they actually funded me to come back down here to Bangalore to do a documentary on American influences on Bangalore City. And that was all school funded, and the school encouraged it, and we had faculty advisors to get it done. The infrastructure in terms of the camera equipment, everything was from the school, and that really sort of solidified what I wanted to do, right? Like use media as a way to communicate effective messages to society, raise the level of debate and all that good stuff. And so that was all Gustavus, that was all my college education, and that was my opportunities to do stuff outside. Basically, I think when a lot of people look for colleges in India, colleges in the United States from India, you're looking for a name that you recognize, and I understand that, and I think your parents in particular would be pushing for this because it's a brand recognition thing, right? Because if I'm going to Columbia University, if I'm going to NYU, if I'm going to Berkeley, it's a name that rings a bell, there's some safety that's associated with it, there's some prestige that's associated with it, and I think for grad school in particular, that's not a bad idea, but especially for undergrad, I think what you're looking for is an environment that is potentially a little bit smaller than a big university, only because you tend to get cared for a lot better when you're 1 out of 2,500 people compared to when you're 1 out of 40,000 people. And that was very helpful because you're going to be 18, 19 years old when you're going to these undergrad institutions. And so getting to know people is a lot easier in these communities. It is a smaller environment. It's easier for you to understand what's going on. It's a lot easier, I think, for you to make friends. And so I think that was very helpful. And so that foundation at Gustavus, which is a smaller institution, gave me the confidence to go to Boston University, which is obviously a much larger university, knowing American culture more, knowing the American system of education so much more. We got a one-year mentorship program with Jay Rowe. Jay Rowe is the senior vice president at HBO, and that was such a fabulous opportunity to take this pie-in-the-sky idea that was 2B33 and start crystallizing it into something that was achievable. And so that was solely because I went to America and solely because I was at Boston University at the time. That has a direct impact on what I'm doing now in Bangalore today. There was this entire environment in the area where I studied of learning. So you would have young people around all the time, you'd have professors, you'd have famous speakers and academicians coming and talking all the time. And that environment really fostered this interest in me to always learn more stuff in my field, which is film, learn more stuff about other people, go to talks and conversations that I wouldn't otherwise go to. I love theater, and the cultural scene in Boston was fabulous, right? There was plays and poetry readings and dances all the time in that area. And so that environment really sort of nurtured really who I am today and the media production work that I do, which is a relatively creative environment. I think Boston and the greater Boston area had a lot to contribute to what I'm doing right now. My education in the United States meant everything. I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for that education. The way I think, the way I act, the way I look at the world, the way I address different issues, the way I'm able to communicate in my job, the way I'm able to manage a company is all because of the confidence, the skills, the critical thinking, the ideas that were instilled with my experiences and my education in the United States. It was a phenomenal opportunity. I'm so glad I'm back in India and I'm doing this work. But without those 6 years of my life in the States, I would be the person I am today. So broadly speaking, if you were to study communications in the United States, you get a wide variety of different opportunities here. So you can either do sort of what I am doing, which is more in media production, sort of hands-on, getting things done, cinematography, editing, motion graphics, animation, graphic design, web development. There's a wide variety of audio. There's a wide variety of different things you can do. You can also be on sort of the client servicing side of things. So that's people who meet with the clients, find out what they want, and take that brief back and work with the production team, like what I do, in getting stuff done. And there's also great administrative posts available. You can do business development. You can do business development, which is basically bringing business into the organization, and a wide variety of different other things. But you can also do journalism, which is quite significant under communication. And every large company in Bangalore and across India will have a marketing and communications department that does the marketing and communications for that company. and that's a job that's readily available to a lot of people. Advertising is huge in the country. You can do it in small agencies like us, or any of the other big agencies, right? O&M, JWP are always looking for good people with good communication skills, good writing skills, good head on their shoulders, and I think that's what an American education really helps get you.